Okay, how about now? Okay, yay! Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University of Arizona's Coverdell Fellows application webinar. My name is Elizabeth Capassi, and I am the outreach assistant here for the Coverdell Fellows program. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. This is just a nice little photo of our new cohort of Peace Corps Fellows. So if you're lucky enough, that might be you guys next year.
All right, before we begin, let's check on the technology and make sure that it's working for everyone. So if you can't hear me, please turn up the sound on your computer. And take note of the chat function we have here in the lower right-hand side of the screen. You might have to find it here in the More section. Here is where you can type any questions you have or introductions.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with the introductions. So as I had said a little earlier, my name is Elizabeth Capassi. I'm the graduate outreach assistant here for the Coverdell program. I am also a second year graduate student in the College of Public Health, and I am an RPCV from Benin, and I served in 2013 to 2015.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lauren Jager. I'm the Fellows Program Coordinator and a first-year fellow. I served in Peace Corps Moldova from 2015 to 2017, and I'm currently getting my master's in public health.
And I'm Georgia, the remaining person on the slides. I'm the director of the Office of Fellowships and Community Engagement at the U of A. The Coverdell Fellows Program is managed out of the Graduate College, and that's where we're housed. And I did not serve in Peace Corps, but I've been working with the program since 2000, so I know a lot of Peace Corps folks by now. And we're awfully glad to have you join us today.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do some introductions, and we'd like to learn a little bit about you. So if you could go ahead in that chat function, tell us your name, which academic program you're applying to, and if you want to, just one fun word in your host country language and what it means. So we'll wait just a second while everybody's typing. Good job. Sam has pointed out that you can already see the name there. All right, so we have Courtney looking at the MPA program. Cool. Masters of Planning. Gurkariku means peanut, I'm guessing. That's how you say it. Awesome. Well, we'll watch for those names to keep coming in. Awesome. Good to have you, Shelby. Thanks for joining, Rebecca. Close enough. Thanks. All right, so we'll get started.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give you guys a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today during our webinar. So we just finished our welcome and introductions. Hello, everybody. We're going to cover highlights of the Coverdell program and the University of Arizona. We'll also talk about the application and how to fill it out and where to find it. And the selection process, so how we read and select who we invite to become a fellow. Tips on how to become a competitive applicant and how to write good essays. And a little insight into what happens next after you're invited to become a fellow here at the University of Arizona. And we'll have throughout the presentation points in which you can ask questions. So utilize that chat function on the side, and when you see slides for questions, you can type your questions in during that time, and then we'll answer them in real time. I think we'll go ahead and move on. So a few program highlights. So currently right now we have a total of 53 fellows that are in the program. Most of them are master's students, but from time to time we do invite a few people who go on to doctoral programs. Speaking of which, we accept a total of 43 master's and doctoral programs that we work with. We started the Coverdell program here at the University of Arizona in the year 2000. So we are one of the oldest and largest fellow programs in the country. In fact, we have almost about 400 fellows and alumni who have gone through the program themselves. A big part of our program is an outreach assistantship and the community of need here in Tucson. So we have worked over the years with over approximately 150 partner agencies that fellows have worked with to do their assistantship with. One of the main reasons why a lot of people come to our program here at the University of Arizona is that we offer 50% tuition reduction off that in-state rate. So everyone receives in-state tuition, and then we take care of 50% of that tuition. And we also provide approximately $8,500 in a living stipend. And on top of all those fun things, you'll come for school, you'll come for work, you'll come from learning, and all those fun things. But at the end of the day, you'll be living here in Tucson. So Tucson is a really great place to live. There's a lot of people who come from other states, myself included. There's a lot of extreme diversity here in Tucson. It's very exciting. If you're an outdoorsy person, there's a lot of hiking, mountain things, walking. People love to bike. We have the Tour de Tucson every year that people come from all over the country to participate in. If outdoor things aren't your thing, because they're not mine, there's also a lot of other fun things to do here. We have a very vibrant downtown scene, lots of really fun and funky places to eat and hang out. There's always something going on in Tucson. We have a very large street fair 2 times a year. And another big draw of Tucson is that housing and living here is relatively affordable. So that's a really nice benefit of also living here. So that stipend that we give you really does go a long way here in Tucson.
Okay, so now we're going to transition and talk about the application. So I want you all to remember that you do have to submit 2 separate applications. One of the applications is going to come to us in the Fellows program, and the second application will be to the academic department that you're applying for. Please note that today we're talking about the Fellows application and our deadlines, but you do need to be aware of the different departmental application deadlines and their separate admission requirements. Okay, so what is the application made of? Basically, when you go to our website here, under applicants, you can see the application form under UA Coverdell application. Everything's going to be done through this one web page. The information you're going to need to complete is a little bit of background information. We're interested in which academic program you're applying to, some background information about your Peace Corps service, a professional resume, a description of service, and 3 essay questions. For the description of service, if you are still serving, we will accept a draft of your DOS if you haven't at this time finalized that document. Essays also, we ask that you upload them in a single PDF. So the instructions are there. I just want to mention it again. It makes our job a little bit easier if this is done the first time. So do you guys have any questions right now about the application? Okay, I see a question from John. Are there references required for the Coverdell application? No, there are not. How long should the DOS be? I think everybody's description of service is pretty standard based on the country. You should have a template that you're working with from your country of service that they'll send you, and then you complete with your given information. So the length in that varies based on the template. Okay, any other questions that come up, feel free to add them into that chat box. Oh, what should we do if the due date for our program is after the Coverdell application date? That's not a problem. We just want to know which academic program you're applying to, which is why we ask for it in our application. So what you would do is apply to our program by our deadlines and then your academic program by their deadlines. We do wait a little bit to announce who we've selected as we wait to see that everyone's been accepted into the academic programs. Okay, so we're going to keep going, but let us know if anything else comes up.
People always ask about the selection process. So the things that we go through are listed here on the slide. First of all, we have to determine that you're an eligible Peace Corps applicant. And these are requirements set by US Peace Corps and refer to your service. If you left service early, you're still eligible if it was a medical or an emergency separation. It's up to you to verify that you did serve, and we need Peace Corps documentation on that. We mentioned the DOS, but if you are still in service, you should, or if possible, also include a little letter stating that you're actively serving. We have a total of 50 graduate outreach assistantships to award each year, and we provide 2 years of support. So we try to keep the cohorts balanced with 25 people or 23 to 25 in each cohort, but it can vary a bit. Some programs are 1-year programs, so some people might leave after just 1 year. So it's a little bit of a balancing process, but it's approximately 25 plus or minus. We encourage you to submit by our priority deadline of January 15th. That is our first round of reviews, and we will begin making offers out of that group. But occasionally some people just find out late, and or 1 year folks from El Salvador were evacuated. So we do hold back a few spots for a second round deadline, but we strongly encourage you to get everything in by January 15th or even in December, which you might have a little time off if you're back. The application review process will start organizing as soon as we get them. We send an acknowledgement note to you. When you hit submit in our Drupal online system, you should see a little acknowledgement that says you've submitted, but we will follow up and let you know if anything's missing or amiss with your application. We read it in-house. Mostly the staff reads it, former staff, former RPCVs. And we also work with the academic department that you have applied to. We're waiting for their approval before we send out offers. So that covers the issue if the departmental deadline is later than ours. And just as a reminder, deadlines are deadlines. You can always submit before the deadline. In fact, that's a good practice in case something goes wrong. So we'll read it 2 or 3 times. If there are questions or disagreements, we might reach out and ask additional people for comment. We score them, and our scoring criteria are really, it's very transparent. It's all based on what you're writing in the application form itself. We will rank them, and we'll compare that ranking with the academic department rankings, and we'll do our best. We also can inquire of the academic department about the recommendations. If there's a question, we don't normally look at them. Skills needed by organizations is another factor that we are concerned with. We're reaching out already, meeting with the nonprofit organizations that we meet with, that we work with, to find out what projects they have and what they're trying to do and what their needs are internally in the organization. So we're trying to make a little better match with that. We look at distribution across the academic departments and programs that we work in. We have a fairly large, consistent group in public health and nursing. We have a group that's involved in education and literacy and math ed, social studies, Teach Arizona, all of that. There's a fairly large group that works in environmental issues, and we have a number in landscape architecture, planning, public administration, the Eller MBA program. So we try, and then their geography kind of blends into a couple of areas. So we try to make sure that there's sort of a mini cohort, sub-cohorts within the different areas. So a fellow's not just alone in the department. We also look at representation from a variety of countries. This year, I think we have 35 or so countries represented. I'm looking at Elizabeth and Lauren. It's a pretty large number. So we are, this last cohort, we took a number of people came in and they were the only ones representing their countries. So we've got a more diverse representation of the world that Peace Corps represents. So I think that's been a really kind of wonderful thing this year. We always say offers will be made beginning in March, and we continue until the cohort is filled. We've been encouraged to make offers sooner than that. So as soon as we can get things read, we will start making offers. The reason that it can actually go into the summer on filling the cohorts. That's not anything you want to hear, but because I know how frustrating and aggravating it is, and different schools have different deadlines and so on. But what happens is that academic department, you're all probably applying to more than one school. So you may get multiple offers, and some people are in a very enviable position and have many offers to choose from. So once we're turned down, then that opens up another slot for somebody else. So we keep proceeding in that way. There is, I'll just mention, I'm not sure if it goes with this slide or something, but we're part of the Council of Grad Schools, which has an April 15th deadline for financial aid offers. It doesn't mean that offers stop at April 15th. It's just that the first round of financial offers have to be responded to by that date. And we are a participant in that. So you can be fairly certain that most people will hear before April 15th, but it definitely can go on, and don't panic. Patience is rewarded.
Okay, so now we're going to pause for a little bit for questions. So if anybody has questions up until this point about the application or selection process or anything else, go ahead and type those into the chat box and we'll answer those if anybody has any questions. Okay, so Chaya is asking how many applications do we typically receive? That number does vary sometimes from year to year, but on average it is approximately around 70 applications that we get every year. Remember, as George just said, we send out invitations to approximately 25 people. We'll send more than that, but we'll only take 25. So we'll send out more, and then, but generally we like our cohort to be around 25 total people, give or take. Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, I think we'll go ahead and move along.
Yes. Okay. All right, this is my time on here. Okay, so what makes an application or an applicant competitive? As Elizabeth just said, we get your odds are pretty good of being admitted. We do go down more than 25 in our list of applications, but do remember that you're competing with other wonderful return Peace Corps volunteers. There's something like 7,000 a year, I think, that are in the field, and you're always eligible. So we have had country directors apply and be accepted. We have people who have been trainers or who have extended. So do your very best on your application and take some time with it. We do look at the whole application holistically. The academic department has a GPA minimum normally. It is possible, and they sometimes will request a waiver on that. Generally, the academic departments are looking at a minimum of a 3.0 in your last 2 years or last 60 units of undergrad work if you're coming straight from an undergrad degree. The review criteria are listed clearly on the website. We're interested in your academic and professional focus and goals. We want to know, I would say, that there's some extension of the ethic of service and the awareness of global issues, both at home and abroad, that comes through in your writing. We're looking for people who are dedicated to providing service in underserved communities in our region, domestically, in our region, even though we're a short 45 minutes from Mexico. Peace Corps Coverdell Fellows have to focus their work in the United States or its territories. We're looking for how our fellows are expressing the third goal in their lives here in the United States when they're back. We look at the connection to our academic program and making sure that your interests fit the academic program that you're applying to. It's really important to carefully look at your academic opportunities here. We are a very interdisciplinary university. So something like an issue like water can be dealt with in 3 different colleges and at least 4 or 5 different academic programs. So make sure you find the right fit for your interests and make sure that the Coverdell program and opportunities is something that you're committed to, because it does require extra time and effort over and above your academic program. We look to see what sorts of leadership initiatives you've been involved in and how that's been expressed in your life. And we also gauge your, I would say, cultural and developmental maturity. We're well aware of the challenges of Peace Corps, and your essays should be written that we have that understanding. So don't assume we don't know about working with women, working with girls, having a camp, we know all that stuff. So give us your best of that experience. And we're interested in the philosophy that you've developed in terms of, I would say, carrying out the mission of Peace Corps.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some tips for the application essays. Number 1, of course, would be to get feedback on the essay drafts from at least 2 people. This is going to let you know what your reading sounds like from an outside perspective and help you get some feedback on that. Also, we want you to respond to the essay prompts. So make sure to read those prompts a couple times over and make sure that your essay is addressing what we're asking for. We do have 3 essays, and they focus on the challenges you've faced, the lessons learned, leadership and teamwork, as well as your long-term goals. You can also review all of the essay prompts on our application web page ahead of time, so you can take your time and write those separately before uploading them. We want you to write with the review criteria in mind. So those things that Georgia just went over, are you matching those criteria in your essay, and is it clear that you understand the goals of our program? write with your audience in mind. Again, we in the office are going to be the ones reviewing it. We have served in Peace Corps and have some understanding of what that's like, but also we want to know that you're here for the right reasons, how the academic program, how Tucson, and how the fellowship program can help you in your long-term goals, and how we can better help you achieve the greatness that you strive for. And finally, write with your competition in mind. We have seen an increase in applications every year, and we're anticipating that to continue as our program is more known, and it's a great program to be a part of. I feel like I can say that. We get some really phenomenal applicants, so please take the application seriously. Okay, on that note, we'll break again. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them into that chat box. Anything else you want to know about the application process, essays, writing tips, Tucson in general, why it's the best. Can you state again? Okay, Andrea wants to know where you can find the 3 essay prompts. So if you go to our website, grad.arizona.edu/Peace Corps. On the left-hand side, you'll see a menu there. You can go to Applicants and select that. You'll see the UA Coverdell application. Select that, and if you scroll down, you can see the entire application there. Down towards the bottom, you'll see the 3 essay prompts. Again, we ask that you submit those all the essays will have their own individual focus based on each prompt, but we ask you that you submit them in one combined PDF document. Okay, thanks, Andrea. Shelby wants to know if we only accept for the fall start. So George is going to take that.
2 of our programs start in the summer, the nursing MEP-IN program and Teach Arizona. So we do accept for that, but basically everybody else is the Coverdell program actually starts with the fall semester. We have occasionally, long ago in the past, taken a few people in January, but we find coming in late in the year really sort of compromises the orientation process and the Peace Corps, the cohort building with the community of fellows here. So we really need everybody to be here. We have often, I'm just guessing perhaps that you finish your service a little bit after our early August start. So if you are completing your service in August or September, you want to talk with your supervisor in Peace Corps or your country director. There is a little bit of discretion there, and often people are allowed to come so that they can come for orientation, which takes place the week before classes start on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay, we have another question. Will you also read the application materials submitted to our respective programs? We do not read those, but I think it's important that you know, because our program has been around for 20 years, we're very familiar with the heads of each department. And I think there are some discussions that go on there regarding applicants, but we don't get a hard copy of those applications.
In each department, there's a graduate coordinator and there is a faculty person who is assigned to work with applicants. And if you look at the graduate college webpage and click on programs of study, you'll be able to identify that person, their email, contact information, and those are our contacts as we work through them. We rely on the academic department to review your academic application and make a determination, and we work with that.
Okay. Martin wants to know approximately how long we recommend each essay to be. I believe there's a word cutoff there, but it's around 1 page. The word cutoff is listed on the application for each essay. Yep. John wants to know more about the community of Tucson, the underserved communities and intercultural aspects within the city. Tucson's a phenomenal place. I just moved here in July, so I've only been here for the first semester, but there is a ton of diversity. We see not only a large Spanish-speaking population, but there's a huge influx in refugees and immigrants from around the world. I think you can walk down the street and hear a dozen different languages being spoken at any time. It's really phenomenal. Some of the underserved communities we work with. Georgia, do you want to talk about that a little more?
One fact that I always like to toss out is that in Tucson Unified School District, there are 67 different languages spoken natively. Arizona and Tucson have been a large recipient of refugees traditionally. There was a point in time when we ranked third in the country for the number of refugees coming here. That's we've slipped down in that list lately. As you probably know, the number of refugees being relocated has declined pretty severely in the last year or so. But we still have a large and wonderful community here. We've kind of had different waves of refugees. There was a group going back to the Bosnia thing. Then we've had people from Iran, Iraq, Congo, Somalia, of course, Sudan. And then we've had a number of Bhutanese. So those are the largest refugee groups here. We have a large immigrant and migrant population as well, with all the border issues going on. There are or have been facilities here in Tucson and in Arizona where many migrant crossers are detained, and a number of the fellows participate very actively with the organizations that provide support to these folks. So that's kind of another group. Originally, of course, this was Tohono O'odham land, and we have two tribes that are located within the region, the Tohono O'odham and the Pasquayaqui. And we have some interaction with that. The U of A also is home to a American Indian Studies program, and a large number of Native American students come here, as well as a large number of international students are here on campus. We're a Research One institution. And then Tucson is just a really interesting community. It's really been a crossroads of Chinese, Jewish, Native American, and Hispanic culture here. So it just is actually a really, I would say, a very tolerant kind of place. And people are really interested in each other's cultures. So it's a lot of fun to be here. And yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, Rebecca had a question about one of the essay questions focuses on Peace Corps international experience and the other does not. Is it okay to talk about any setting in that second prompt? Yes, Rebecca, that's not a problem. And then Justin had a question about GRE scores. We are not going to look at those GRE scores and take a lot of that into account. That's going to depend on your academic program more so and what their requirements are.
And that section that I told you about under search for programs often has a comment about GRE scores. You can also ask in your grad coordinator would be familiar with the average score in the department. That's how I would ask it. But there's quite a range these days. It is not a requirement of the grad college to have the GRE. That is a departmental requirement.
Okay, so if any other questions come up, again, feel free to throw them in the chat box and we'll come back to those later.
Okay, so now we're moving on to what do you do after you submit your application. So there's still plenty of other things that you can still keep doing. A few extra dates that is important to keep in mind. The FAFSA application, so every graduate school requires that you submit the FAFSA application by the deadline of March 1st. So that's the federal program that supplies financial aid to students. That is actually open right now. So if you are able to have the chance now, while you have all this free time, you can go ahead and submit that already, so you don't forget by the due date. We always welcome possible applicants and anyone interested in the Coverdell program and the University of Arizona to come visit us if you can. If you're in the area or just want to come out and visit schools, if that's what you're able to do at this time, you can come and visit anytime. One important event that is coming up soon that would be fun to check out is our Fellows Outreach Showcase, which we will be holding on February 22nd. More information about that you'll also get in more newsletters that come to your inbox, but that's going to be from 3 to 6 p.m. in the Student Union here at the University of Arizona. This is a great time to come and visit us. It's an opportunity for fellows to present a poster on the work that they've been doing with their organization as part of their fellows assistantship. So it's a great time to see what we've been doing and also to meet and greet possible organizations that you might be interested in or want to work with if you're accepted into the program here. A few important things for you to know. We would like to keep informed if you are accepting or declining any offers from an academic program. So if you haven't heard from us yet and you're already accepted to another academic program, or if not, please let us know so we can help factor that into our selection process. And also, if you are provided any other additional financial support from other academic programs, we would like to know that as well so that we can also factor that into the support we provide you too. As Georgia has stated, we like to get those, let people know the national application deadline of April 15th. We like to get things done out around that time. And also there's it's good to let the academic program know that you're applying to, that you are also applying with us here at the Coverdell program. A lot of applications, I know, ask if you're applying to us, and please make sure to check that box in that application so that everybody knows where you're applying to everywhere, so everybody's informed. Okay, so next step, after you are accepted into the Coverdell Fellows program, we continue to offer you support as you prepare for coming into grad school and becoming a fellow. So during the summer, between the months of May and August, we'll send out weekly communications. So we have a summer Coverdell coordinator, which will again be Lauren. So you'll be hearing from her all summer if you get in. You'll get an email each week with information about the program, introductions of other things that you need to do to prepare, and we also provide important fun guides such as a moving to Tucson guide that helps with housing and how to move around and where to eat and all that sorts of fun things to get you situated and oriented in Tucson and as well into graduate school too. During the summer, we also hold a virtual outreach assistantship meet and greet. So if you're wondering how you get matched up to one of these great community partners that we have, well, this is how we do it. We have an online chat, kind of like we're doing right now, in which you can have informational interviews with each of our organizations that want a fellow for the next academic year. You'll chat with them, you'll introduce each other, and after that, they'll send out invitations for an interview during the summer, so then you'll go ahead and interview for those positions and receive an offer from them individually. During the summer, we also set up and assign incoming fellows with a continuing fellow that will be the mentor. So for any specific questions on the particular program, we try to match people up based on the same academic program if we're able to. So if you have specific questions on how to be a student in that particular program and other questions about being a fellow and working with and juggling all of the things that we ask of you, because as a graduate student, unfortunately or fortunately, however you see it, you're going to be doing a lot of things, but it's good as in you'll be learning a lot and you'll be a part of the community. So we'll assign you with a mentor to help you work through those questions that you might have. And then before the start of classes, which starts on August 26th next year, we do hold a fellows orientation. So all of the new fellows come in. We'll orient you to the school, the fellows program, all the steps that you need to take. Everybody has a lot of financial questions. We'll answer those specific questions during that time. We'll also have a networking session with the outreach assistantships and the organizations, so that you can meet the people that you matched up during the summer. If you aren't in Tucson, to meet them in person, this is going to be your chance to do that. And just in case you haven't been able to find one over the summer, that's also another opportunity for you to get matched up to an organization during that time as well.
And the next slide is on a little more detail on the benefits that the fellows receive. I know that's always a big issue. And Elizabeth's already emphasized that it's important to file the FAFSA form. Some of what we offer is need-based, and so that's the reason that we need to have that FAFSA form on file. The core of our support is the 0.25, the quarter-time graduate outreach assistantship, which can be held, it can be renewed for a second year. Some of you may be in a 3-year program, a dual degree program, or there are some landscape architecture. There are a number of programs that are 3 years in length. We work with the academic departments on the 3rd year, but we're at this time, all we can cover or commit to is 2 years. The tuition is billed at the standard base rate for resident tuition. So no non-resident charges occur on the bill of a Peace Corps or Coverdell Fellow. If you want to know what that amount is, you will have to keep an eye on the Bursar's page, which has a tuition calculator on it. There are different program fees charged in some departments. So you'll have, those are not covered by the Coverdell Fellowship, and nor are the mandatory fees. But half the in-state tuition is basically what you're looking at plus those fees. The outreach assistantship is for 10 hours a week of service attached to the nonprofit in the community or perhaps an outreach unit on campus. And it's the main way that we provide service to an underserved community. You can hold a second 0.25 assistantship on campus, and that does change the amount of tuition that you are charged. That basically drops to 0, and all you're left with is program fees. We can talk about that in more detail personally if you have questions about that. The work study, let me go back. Your outreach assistantship has a stipend of $8,500 roughly per academic year. It's a little under that right now. That is paid out to you every pay period, along with all the staff and faculty salary disbursements on campus. You start accruing funds the week before classes start, and that is why we can ask our fellows to come that week before school for their training and orientation. You're paid over holidays and winter break. You report to your outreach assistantship site from the first day of classes to the last day of classes for fall and spring semesters. Your student health insurance is covered. The premium is covered if you enroll. It's optional. Sometimes people don't, but we encourage it. We're ranked, I think, it's third or fourth in the country in terms of the health insurance and quality of the services provided at the U of A. It's ranked by the Princeton Review. It's a pretty amazing program. There's also a 10% discount at the U of A bookstore, which can be helpful. With filing the FAFSA and with financial need, anybody just coming back from Peace Corps will have that need. I can almost guarantee you that, unless you have a large amount of investments not in an IRA, which is a rare situation. And we offer generally up to $3,000. Those students that accept it generally use it. It can only be used off campus, but those students that do use it usually use it at their same site where they're using the outreach assistantship. It's not a requirement to do something else. It's optional and up to you to accept it. Professional development is managed by the Peace Corps Fellows Club. We have a student club, and we've found that the fellows know best what they want to learn and what they want to do. This year we've done a fun series of a fun webinar on how to make a poster for our outreach poster session. And some of the professional development that you do in your academic program can also count. But it's really an opportunity for the cohort that's here to think about what their interest is and to expand their understanding across disciplines and whatnot together. So it's really kind of a nice thing. And then Elizabeth has already gone over the incoming fellow support. The mentor is just sort of a person that you can go to coffee with or call and wonder about the state of the world or why you did this in the first place. No, it's really great. It's always great. And our Moving to Tucson guide is very well known, and a number of academic departments actually use it as well. It's sort of by fellows for fellows, so it's a great guide to living well as a grad student. Lauren does an amazing weekly newsletter that goes out to the fellows to keep everybody in touch. We have a large social network here of alumni fellows. In fact, a lot of them are actually advisors and mentors at the agencies where our fellows work. And we're also have a great connection with the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Southern Arizona, known as the Desert Doves. So we work with them and they support us and we support them. So that about covers it on the benefits. Again, keep the Bursar's tuition calculator site in mind. That's the key to understanding what it will cost here. I will say that the Arizona Board of Regents does not set tuition for the next year until April, which makes it hard to know, but the benefit, I would say, rolls with the cost of attendance. So don't be too concerned about increases in tuition. The assistantship will just roll with that. Okay.
All right, so final opportunities for questions. Anything else that you guys have questions on? Let us know. I know that we just covered a lot of information, so okay, here we go. Rebecca wants to know, for programs that aren't on a traditional academic schedule, do fellows stay on with their outreach assistantship during the summer session? Our assistantships only go for the traditional academic year, so it would just be the fall and spring semesters. Georgia, you want to, anything else?
But you can use work study over the summer.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Are there many organized opportunities to meet/work with other fellows? What exactly are the Desert Doves? Oh man, we work and meet up quite frequently. At least once a month, we have an organized service event. We also have a couple times each semester different social meetings that we, let's all go hiking, for example, in this photo. Or let's go have a Jurassic Park themed Halloween party, which was a big success this year. It really ranges in, what the fellows want to do. But we do have lots of great opportunities to work together in service for the community. We've done a lot of big garden projects this fall, but also just get together and have some fun. The Desert Doves are the return Peace Corps volunteer group here within Tucson, not necessarily attached to the university, but we do interact with them quite frequently. In fact, fellows attend 2 meetings per year with the Desert Doves, and we do a couple different service projects with the Doves in the community. So if you are in Tucson and not part of the Fellows program, but just living and working here, you're more than welcome to join the Doves. All right. Andrea, is there support for finding a specific federal work-study position? Can that position be both off and on campus? Thanks, Andrea. We do send out a list of organizations that offer federal work-study, but with the amount that we make available for fellows, those positions do have to be off campus. So any off-campus organization that offers work-study, you would be eligible for. And we do have a list of those organizations that we can send out to you if you're looking. So just let us know. All right. No problem. Okay. Well, I think that's it. So if you do have any additional questions, please feel free to shoot us an email after the webinar. Also, we will be providing a link to the recording and putting it on the website if you want to return to anything that we went over today. Any other final comments, team?
Thanks for joining us today. We've had, I think Elizabeth's done a great job responding to a lot of inquiries, and we actually have about 200 people on our inquiry list. So get your applications in early this year.
Okay, I think that's all for us, but I want to wish you all the best of luck, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks.